Hello everybody, so today we'll be creating the voluminous sleeve. Yes, this is what I'm talking about, so it can be used on different designs. So my aim is actually basically to show you the technique used to create this sleeve, and so that you can use it, adapt it to create any other thing. So to start, we're going to start with the drop shoulder bodice. So we're going to create the drop shoulder first, and before we start to create our sleeves, draft our sleeves, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be using the half scale block, because using the full scale block is really going to be very large. So that you can see every single detail, we're going to be using the half scale block. And also we're going to be sewing. I'll show you the techniques of seaming them together, seaming the sleeve together with the full pattern, so that you can have an understanding of how to go about getting this beautiful sleeve. You can use it for any design whatsoever, any design that you think requires, and then you can manipulate the sleeve any way you want. You can decide that you want to tack different places up. You can decide that you want to do anything whatsoever. So let's start. Okay, so we're going to start by modifying the bodice block, transforming it from a regular one to a drop shoulder. And to create the drop shoulder, first of all, we need to get guidelines. So I'm going to get my guideline from here. It's just going to serve as a guideline, and I'm going to get the guideline from parallel to a perpendicular line. So here are my guidelines. I'm going to create it in a way that you can see. So my guideline is from the high point shoulder. I have a guideline here at high point shoulder that goes all the way there, and then I have another guideline at the shoulder point, here at the neck point and at the shoulder point. If you have a square roll, then it will work very easy for you. Okay, so at the shoulder point, you take it out 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. Remember that this, for me here, this is a half scale block, so I'm going to be using the half measurements, but you use 1 centimeter. There. I hope it's clear. And then you take it up another 1 centimeter. I have to be sure that my lines are parallel. There. Up there and up there. So 1 centimeter out and 1 centimeter up. And then we're going to redraw the shoulder line. Just redrawing my shoulder line. Right? So that's the new point. I think we drew, so 1 centimeter out, 1 centimeter up. Wait, so this should be a better view. Once you're done with that, we're going to take a square roll, or you find 45 degrees, and then you draw a 45-degree angle touching this point. So this is my 45-degree angle. So I'm going to using the top guideline. I'm going to draw a 45-degree angle touching there, just making that straight line. And because this 45-degree angle is too close, it's too close to the armhole, we're going to go a few centimeters. So we're going to make it 1 centimeter. So yes, you're going to make it 1 centimeter. So draw a perpendicular line 1 centimeter from that point. About 1 centimeter from that point. So now that is your new line. All the measurements will be written down. At this point, you get your curve. And then you draw a perpendicular line from your notch, your underarm notch. There. And now you're done with your center front drop shoulder. There. So what I'll do at this point is to take the measurements. So we're going to measure so that we'll make sure that the front and back, once we do the back, the front and back is the same. It's the same thing that you do for the front that you do for the back. So there. So I'm going to take the measurements. I'm going to measure to the shoulder point here. I have about 5.2, and I'm going to measure from the shoulder point to the neck point. And now I have 8. So I have 8 centimeters here. Remember that this is a half scale, so it's not going to be the same thing as your full scale. So right now we have succeeded in creating our drop sleeve. Very easy. So the basic things that you must remember, that you need to remember, is that from the shoulder point you go 1 centimeter out and 1 centimeter up. You redraw your shoulder line to that point using the guideline from the neck point. You create a 45 passing through this point. You use your 45-degree angle. There are other ways you can get your 45-degree angle. and I'll be glad to show you. Can you see? That's what I did to get my 45-degree angle. And then I came out by 1 centimeters to create another line so that it can give it a little more room before I used my curve to blend the lines. So now this is my drop shoulder for this. I'm also going to take the measurements here and note it down. So that's me taking that measurement. I'm sure you can see that I'll normally take my measurement using the edge of my ruler, of my tape, even when it's a straight line. I can always use my ruler since it's a straight line. So here I have 4.8. So 4.8 centimeters. I'm just going to note all these measurements down because I'm going to use them now. So we can go ahead and cut this out. Then we'll move on to the back. Okay, working on the same thing with the back. We're going to do absolutely the same thing. We're going to draw guidelines on the shoulder point. So we're going to take the front measurement so that we make sure that when you join them together, the front and the back, they agree. So the measurement from the shoulder, the neck point to the shoulder point, the new shoulder point is 8 centimeters. I'm going to just take my measuring tape and measure that to be sure that it's correct. Fantastic. So I have that correct. Then the other one is 5.2. So I'm going to take from that point and measure 5.2 centimeters so that I'll get 5.2 centimeters. So it's from this point that I'm going to join to my notch. You remember your notches. So now that we're now done with the drop shoulder for both the front and the back, and you can see how easy it is to make a drop shoulder. So in case you want to make a drop shoulder for any design that you have, you can also decide that you want to make it an off shoulder too. So if it's going to be an off shoulder, you just lower it, draw your neckline to this point, or draw your neckline to that point, or draw your neckline to this point, wherever you want, however low you want it to drop, either front or back. So it saves you also from having to do a separate sleeve and all that. Anyhow, it's a drop shoulder design. You can have fun with it. So we're going to do what we did for the front. We're going to measure the bottom of the sleeve, the drop shoulder sleeve, and because we're going to use it to create our sleeve block for the voluminous sleeve.